Heartbreak isn't just a metaphor. When a relationship ends, or when love is rejected, many people feel it physically: a tightness in the chest, a sinking feeling in the stomach, a pain that's hard to describe. But heartbreak isn't only emotional, it's deeply biological. It triggers a cascade of changes in the brain, the nervous system, and even the immune system, some of which scientists are still uncovering. In this video, we're exploring what actually happens in the brain during heartbreak and why it can feel so overwhelming. 1. Love works like a learning loop, and heartbreak breaks it. When we fall in love, the brain wires the other person into its reward system. This system normally helps us learn what is rewarding, like food, warmth, or safety. But in love, the brain begins to treat a person the same way. Every hug, every message, every shared routine, the brain learns that this person means reward and safety and belonging. So when a relationship suddenly ends, the brain doesn't simply register sadness, it registers reward loss, a kind of neurological withdrawal. And this isn't just poetic language. Brain imaging studies show that heartbreak activates the same reward craving regions seen in addiction withdrawal, which helps explain why you may think about the person constantly, even when you don't want to. 2. Emotional pain and physical pain overlap. Here's one of the most uncomfortable truths: the brain uses overlapping circuits for emotional pain and physical pain. When someone we love leaves, brain regions involved in physical pain become active too. This doesn't mean heartbreak is just in your head. It means your brain literally registers social loss as a survival threat. From an evolutionary perspective, that makes sense. For most of human history, being rejected or abandoned could reduce your chances of survival. So the brain evolved to make social loss feel alarmingly painful, to push us to reconnect, to seek safety. This is why the phrase heartache exists in so many cultures. People weren't being dramatic. They were describing a very real mind-body response. 3. The stress system goes into alarm mode. Heartbreak doesn't just change how you feel, it changes your physiology. The body's main stress pathway, the HPA axis, releases cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals increase heart rate, tighten muscles, and heighten alertness. They prepare you for danger. But during heartbreak, there is no physical danger, only loss. That mismatch can create symptoms like chest tightness, shallow breathing, nausea, tremors, restlessness, or extreme fatigue. In some people, cortisol stays elevated for weeks, affecting sleep, digestion, and immunity. And in rare cases, intense emotional stress can produce stress-induced cardiomyopathy, sometimes called broken heart syndrome, a temporary weakening of the heart muscle that is medically real. 4. Why heartbreak disrupts sleep and appetite. One of the lesser-known effects of heartbreak is how deeply it disrupts your basic rhythms, especially sleep and appetite. Part of this is cortisol. High alertness at night makes deep sleep harder to reach. But another factor is serotonin, a chemical involved in mood and appetite regulation. When emotional stress disrupts serotonin signaling, some people lose appetite completely, while others emotionally eat. And at night, the brain often replays emotional memories more frequently. This is part of how the brain tries to process loss. But emotionally, it can feel relentless. 5. The bond doesn't live in your heart, it lives in your chemistry. Love bonds are strengthened by oxytocin and vasopressin, hormones released during closeness and connection. They don't just make you feel safe, they link that person to your sense of home. So when the bond breaks, the brain doesn't just feel sad. It experiences a loss of safety cues. That's why heartbreak can make the world feel different. Rooms feel emptier, silence feels louder, colors feel duller. Your nervous system is recalibrating, searching for a safety signal that used to exist in another person. 6. Rumination isn't weakness, it's the brain seeking resolution. Another misunderstood part of heartbreak is rumination, the constant replaying of memories. This isn't emotional failure, it's the brain performing a predictive control loop. The brain's job is to predict what will happen next. When a relationship ends suddenly, those predictions fail. So the mind replays events to answer questions like, what went wrong? Am I safe now? What does this mean for my future? It's exhausting, but it's the brain trying to restore a sense of control. 7. Why heartbreak affects self-worth. The brain doesn't treat rejection as neutral information. It often interprets it as a threat to belonging. And belonging is a fundamental human survival need. During heartbreak, the emotional centers of the brain become highly active. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the reasoning center, becomes slightly less effective. This bias makes self-critical thoughts more likely, even if they're not true. It's not a character flaw. It's a temporary distortion shaped by stress chemistry and emotional pain. 8. How the brain eventually heals. Healing from heartbreak doesn't mean forgetting the person. It means rewiring the reward system. With time and new experiences, dopamine pathways stop linking reward to one specific person. Oxytocin bonds gradually shift to new sources of connection. Stress hormones settle, and neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire, allows new meaning and safety to grow. For some people, this takes weeks, for others, months or longer. But the key truth is the brain is built to heal. So if you've ever felt heartbreak as a physical ache, a hollow feeling in your chest, or an overwhelming sense of loss, you weren't imagining it. Your brain and body were responding to what they believed was vital for survival, connection. And although heartbreak is painful, it also reveals how deeply human beings are wired for love, attachment, and meaning. With time, self-compassion, and support, your nervous system adapts, and new pathways of safety and belonging begin to grow. Thanks for watching The Everyday Brain. For more science-based videos on psychology and how the brain works, feel free to subscribe.